Do you think for yourself, or are you just following a script? Day after day, repeating the same routines, holding the same opinions, reacting the same way, never stopping to ask why? It happens slowly, almost without notice. You consume the news, entertainment, and ideas that are fed to you, assuming they are your own. You follow trends, mimic social norms, and adopt beliefs that feel comfortable, never realizing that comfort is the cage. In a world where passivity is rewarded, where distraction replaces deep thought, and where questioning is seen as rebellion, most people don't even recognize the moment they stop being alive and start merely existing. This isn't just a meme, it's a psychological reality, one that is spreading. The NPC, originally a term from gaming, describes a character who exists but does not act with real agency. And yet, when you look around, how many people live exactly like this? Stuck in loops of mindless consumption, programmed responses, and predictable behavior. They think they are thinking, but they are only repeating. Their emotions are dictated by the latest headlines. Their identity is crafted by external labels. Their beliefs are downloaded, not developed. The world has trained them to be passive participants in their own lives, to follow the script without ever questioning who wrote it. And if you're not careful, it can happen to you too. This is a wake-up call. If you don't guard your mind, the world will program it for you. If you don't actively choose your path, you will follow one designed for you. If you don't fight for your individuality, you will lose it without even noticing. So ask yourself, are you thinking your own thoughts, or are they being thought for you? People don't become NPCs overnight. It happens gradually, through a quiet surrender of autonomy and thought. It starts with outsourcing thinking, blindly accepting the narratives handed down by media, authority figures, and social circles. Not because they are true, but because they are easier. The brain is wired for efficiency. Thinking critically, challenging ideas, and questioning reality require energy. Most people take the path of least resistance, adopting prepackaged beliefs, repeating popular opinions, and avoiding the discomfort of uncertainty. It feels safer to accept than to analyze, to follow than to forge your own path. Over time, this passive consumption turns into a mental script, one that dictates their responses, opinions, and even emotions. What once was a choice becomes an unconscious pattern, and they don't even realize they've stopped thinking. The need to belong strengthens this process. Groupthink and conformity are deeply ingrained in human psychology. We are social creatures, and our survival once depended on unity. The famous Asch conformity experiment showed that people will deny their own perception just to align with the group. They will claim to see what they do not see, say what they do not believe, and suppress doubts that could make them outsiders. In modern society, this instinct is weaponized. We are bombarded with cues about what we should think, how we should feel, and who we should be. Asking the wrong questions makes you inconvenient. Thinking independently makes you dangerous. So most people comply, not because they are forced to, but because it is easier to go along with the crowd than to stand alone in uncertainty. But the cost of this mental submission isn't just intellectual, it's emotional. Many people shut down their inner complexity, not because they lack depth, but because feeling deeply is painful. Emotional numbness becomes a defense mechanism. Avoiding discomfort takes priority over self-discovery. NPCs don't engage with their emotions. They react, but they don't reflect. They feel anger, joy, or sadness, but in a detached, surface-level way, often dictated by external triggers rather than true introspection. They don't sit with their discomfort long enough to understand it. They don't explore their pain deeply enough to grow from it. Without self-reflection, their emotional world becomes a predictable loop, just like their thoughts. And then there's the final stage, routine thinking, the slow erosion of vitality through unexamined repetition. Days blur together, routines replace experiences. The same conversations, the same distractions, the same mental patterns over and over until years pass without real change. Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence asks, if you had to relive this exact life, every moment, forever, would you be satisfied? If the thought terrifies you, it means you are not truly living. You are just existing. And the most dangerous part? Most people don't wake up until it's too late. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the hidden part of yourself, filled with the thoughts, desires, and instincts you refuse to acknowledge. Everything you suppress, your fears, your insecurities, and your rage, your guilt, lives there, buried deep in your unconscious. And like anything buried, it doesn't disappear. It festers. It leaks out in subtle ways, through irrational fears, self-sabotage, envy, or an unexplained bitterness toward the world. But instead of confronting it, most people run. They distract themselves with routine, numb themselves with entertainment, and convince themselves that their darkness doesn't exist. NPCs avoid self-confrontation at all costs. They follow external scripts not just because it's easy, but because thinking for themselves would force them to look inward, and they are terrified of what they might find. But ignoring your shadow doesn't make it go away. It just allows it to control you from the background. People who refuse to face their inner darkness become emotionally immature, trapped in cycles of self-deception. They blame external forces for their misery because they can't handle the contradictions within themselves. This is projection, when the traits you hate in others are really the traits you refuse to see in yourself. Instead of admitting their own cowardice, they mock others for being weak. Instead of facing their own envy, they call success unfair. Instead of questioning their own flaws, they create villains to justify their resentment. And beyond projection, there's another symptom of an unexamined shadow: moral rigidity. The NPC mindset sees the world in black and white, good versus evil, right versus wrong, because nuance requires self-awareness. A mind that refuses to explore its own darkness cannot comprehend the complexity of the world. But here's the truth: you cannot be free until you integrate your shadow. Jung believed that true growth, the process of individuation, requires facing the parts of yourself you've disowned, bringing them into the light and owning them. It's not about eliminating your darkness, but understanding it, controlling it, and using it as a source of strength rather than destruction. This isn't new. We talked about this a couple of videos ago. The journey to becoming a whole person is not about being pure or good by external standards. It's about being real, and that can only happen when you stop running. So ask yourself, when was the last time you faced the parts of yourself you fear the most? When was the last time you sat with your discomfort instead of escaping it? If you don't answer those questions now, your shadow will answer for you. A life without purpose is a life without identity. NPCs don't truly live. They exist, moving through routines without direction, without depth, without questioning why. Their actions are dictated by circumstance, not intention. Their beliefs are borrowed, not built. Viktor Frankl, in Man's Search for Meaning, observed that without a deep sense of purpose, people don't just become lost, they become numb. Spiritual decay sets in when life is reduced to mere survival, when there's nothing truly worth striving for. And yet, this is the default state for many, drifting through life without ever asking what they are moving toward, mistaking motion for progress, mistaking distraction for fulfillment. The danger isn't that they've chosen the wrong purpose. The danger is that they have chosen nothing at all. And modern society makes sure it stays that way. Consumer culture thrives on keeping people disconnected from their deeper selves. It doesn't want you to reflect. It wants you to scroll, to consume, to chase endless novelty that keeps you too distracted to question anything real. Instead of building something meaningful, people binge content. Instead of mastering a skill, they chase trends. Instead of pursuing deep relationships, they settle for surface-level validation. The world offers an infinite supply of distractions, but no real answers. And most people take the bait. Ask yourself, are you building a life that fulfills you, or just one that keeps you entertained? If everything you do is designed to fill the silence, maybe it's time to ask what you're so afraid of hearing. But purpose isn't just drowned out by distractions, it's actively avoided. Purpose demands courage. It forces you to step into the unknown, to take risks, to fail, to be seen. And most people fear that more than anything. So they choose comfort instead. They choose safety. They choose the familiar paths laid out for them because to define your own path means embracing uncertainty, and NPCs would rather stay where it's predictable. The herd offers security, pre-approved opinions, socially accepted goals, a script that tells you exactly what to do and think. But security comes at a price, the loss of your own voice, your own vision, your own life. True purpose is not given, it is forged. You will not find it in prepackaged ideologies, in social validation, or in the approval of others. You will only find it through self-exploration, through taking risks, through breaking free from the narratives that have been handed to you. And that is precisely why most people never find it, because they never truly look. The first step to breaking free is radical self-awareness. That means questioning everything, not just the world around you, but your own thoughts, your own assumptions, your own deeply held beliefs. How much of what you think is truly yours, and how much has simply been absorbed from others? This isn't a comfortable process. Most people avoid self-examination because it threatens the illusion of certainty. But if you never challenge your own mind, how can you ever claim to own it? Make it a daily practice. Journal your thoughts, challenge your automatic beliefs, and notice when you are running on autopilot. Catch yourself when you repeat opinions without truly understanding them. Ask yourself why you react a certain way, why certain ideas trigger you, why certain fears control you. The moment you start thinking about your thinking, the script begins to break. But awareness isn't enough. You must also confront your shadow. All the parts of yourself you've buried, the fears, the insecurities, the hidden desires you're ashamed of, must be brought into the light. Because if you don't face them, they will control you from the dark. Your repressed emotions shape your decisions, your relationships, your self-worth, whether you acknowledge them or not. So stop running. Ask yourself, what parts of me am I avoiding, and why? Where does your envy stem from? What hidden resentment do you carry? What truth about yourself are you afraid to admit? NPCs avoid this step because it's painful. But those who refuse to confront their own darkness are doomed to be controlled by it. And then you reclaim your autonomy. Stop outsourcing your mind to algorithms, to media, to the endless noise of other people's thoughts. Read deeply. Reflect often. Think for yourself. Prioritize solitude. In a world that never stops screaming, silence is where your real voice can finally be heard. If you never give yourself space to sit with your own thoughts, without distraction, without input, then whose thoughts are you really thinking? Take back control. Guard your attention as if your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Finally, live with purpose. Not the kind handed to you by society, not the one that makes you fit in, but one that actually matters to you. What do you stand for? What kind of person do you want to become? Define it, own it, pursue it with intention, and never stop growing. Because here's the truth, if you don't choose who you become, the world will choose for you.